You can twice double check that though.
It looks
I
like
think
it.
I might
Hey
have done
guys.
it twice.
Hey guys, so we're here with Kingfish. We're gonna take about 5 minutes and just BS while we wait for people to get here and while everybody has a chance to share the broadcast on their profiles and stuff like that. So if you're watching right now, please like, comment, and share so we know you're here. And meanwhile, Michael and I are going to share on our profiles, and I'm going to get Kingfish's people situated. So what we usually do, Fish, is we usually have like an icebreaker question while we're doing the sharing and waiting for people to get here. So my icebreaker question for today is, how do you sleep? TV on, TV off, fan on, fan off, cold, hot. Like, what's your ideal sleeping conditions? So,
I would say not necessarily the TV, but some type of noise do have to be going. So, and I definitely sleep in the cold as well. Yeah, right. He says cold in here, so yeah. Okay.
So,
No.
It's live. I just sent you the link, Rick, and I'll send it to you, Michael, through Facebook so you can share it. That might be easier than me tagging you. Just click the link I sent you and then hit share, and I'm gonna share it myself. So for me, I also like it cold, which makes things a little difficult for my wife and I because she gets cold, and I like it a little bit colder than she does. Although I think we both err on the side of cold. And I used to like complete silence, and then I got used to having the TV on. Now I need the TV on, but I still need darkness, so I'll usually wear like a sleep mask, but I'll have the TV on, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I feel you. Yeah, I think your signal is you kind of dropping out a little bit every time you talk.
Who, me?
Yeah.
Michael, can you hear me? Michael? Can you guys hear me? I don't know why. I don't know why. I guess I can't be heard.
It sounds like it's trying to clear up a little bit now.
I'm sorry, I had you on mute because I was trying to.
Michael, can you hear me?
I can hear you, man. I'm trying to look for how do I even share this thing.
I sent you the link in your inbox, and you just click on that. I'll do it the other way too. I'll try to tag you the other way too, just in case that works.
I clicked on it. I just wouldn't know. Didn't do nothing.
Okay.
I got like 8 things up now. Like 4 Facebooks, 3 StreamYards.
Well, pretty soon you should be able to close most of them. So anybody else want to answer the icebreaker question? As you saw, my wife answered it in the comments.
Yeah, I saw.
There's she at. I do not steal her blanket. She throws the blankets off in the middle of the night because she gets hot.
45 minutes.
So.
I think I go with the Kingfish's basic synopsis, which is cold, and the TV is almost always on.
Right.
Okay, did you guys? I know Michael did the sharing Kingfish. Did you guys get it shared on your platforms?
Yeah, I think he got it. I think he got it situated and everything. I got because he got the link from me, so I think he got it situated and whatnot.
Hey, Rick, I don't know if you can hear me. Instead of sharing the link like you did, go click on the link and go to the video, and then actually share the video.
Hold on. Hey, he said go to the video and share the video instead of you're posting the link.
Yeah. Are you my friend on Facebook, Rick?
Say it again. 'Cause I got my headphones on.
Oh. I was saying if Rick was my friend on Facebook. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to send it to... Let me see if it'll even let me do that. There. I sent it to your main page in an inbox, so that might be. Okay. Well,
Okay, I got you. All right.
Michael, you still working? Or are you with us?
I'm no longer working. It is what it is, man. Let's get with it.
Okay, let me just check one thing real quick. So. Okay, so this that's not what I tried to do. There we go. So welcome everybody to MUSiPOLiTiX. I'm going to introduce my co-host, and then Michael, would you like to introduce our guest, or should I?
You've known him longer, so you probably ought to introduce him.
Okay, so
we still getting acquainted.
my co-host, all the way on the far side of the screen over there, best drummer in the world, best drummer on the planet by Modern Drummer Magazine.
Kingfish will tell you that's a lie right now.
I don't think he will. I don't think he will. So, well, we'll get to that in a second. Eater of plant-based foods, beacon of brilliance in the Minneapolis area, and one of my closest friends and one of my favorite people, ladies and gentlemen, the legendary Michael Bland, my co-host.
Yeah. And on my I got it right.
Hey, we both got it right for the first.
Yeah, my far left. Left. No, right. Okay, that's right. Hailing from Madison, Wisconsin, burner of black people, suppressor of votes, number one, Wisconsin. Wisconsin is number one. Player of gospel music, purveyor of the spirit, Hammond revving up, shanking guitar playing, Dan Spiffy Neuman on my left or right. But clearly, well, he's in sight, then that's all right.
So I will introduce our guest, and I think it was at least 10 years ago or so. Some friends of mine on Facebook. Oh, what happened? We lost. Hold on.
Kingfish, there you go.
There we go.
Yeah. Sorry about that. Right. Sorry about the signal was bad. So I had to reconnect some things.
Where you at, Kingfish?
Man, I'm over here in LA. We just started the tour for our second record, so in the meantime, between time, like the official shows, I kind of flew over here just to chill for like a couple of weeks and get some business done and whatnot. So that's why I'm over here.
Get that business done.
Yeah. Y'all know for sure.
Yes, yeah, man. Hustle, young man, hustle.
So, in introducing our guest, about 10 years ago, a whole bunch of my friends started sharing me this video of this chubby kid playing guitar on a couch. And he couldn't have been no older than like 10 years old. And everybody that sent me the video said, it's time for you to retire. Like, it's time for you to hang it up. Like, you don't need to play guitar anymore. This kid exists.
Mm-hmm.
And I watched the video, and they were right, because I had never seen somebody that was such a fully formed musician at such a young age. I think we lost him again, though. I think
Did we lose you, Kingfish?
I think his signal is not as good as his guitar playing.
No, he's just sitting back going, yeah, go ahead. Yeah, rev it up there, bro. No, we lost him. That's definitely.
We lost him. Well, we'll wait. We'll wait for him to get back.
Well, that's funny.
And yeah, so that's how.
We'll jump back on. Anyway, yeah, I remember seeing that clip myself. I was like, what? How's that boy playing like a grown-up like that?
That's the thing, because even at that young age, he had like the maturity of a real musician. Like, it wasn't just that he could play,
Mm-hmm.
It was that he could, like, I don't know how to describe it other than that. Like
I know it's that thing. It's some people are born to do it. Different spirit on you when you come out the womb with your anointing like that, like that. Like it was right away with Kingfish. He was in the womb. It was preordained. He was supposed to play the guitar. It ain't the same for everybody. Some people, they get into the world and then figure it out at some point. But some dudes are just born to do it. Another cat I feel like that about is a brother named David Ryan Harris. He plays like that's what he knows is the guitar. Like he knew it before he got his hands on one. It was already set, the agenda was set. God said it, you know. That's how we were just talking about you, Kingfish, and how you sound like you was a already 48-year-old man when you were 6 years old or however you were old in that clip. Like he sounded like he already been gigging for about 20 years.
Oh, I was trying to. I was trying
Yeah.
to sound like that. Yeah, it came from like, just, some of the, I didn't go through losing my woman at the time, but there was some life experiences that I had to just, play upon just to feel my music. And not only that, just and not only that, just hanging around like all like the, old school blues cats in my town, you kinda develop, some of the tendencies that they have, so that's where I would say, like a whole lot of it come from for sure.
Yeah, it's funny because I remember the first time Johnny Lang came through Bunkers to sit in with the band, and he couldn't have been more than 12 or 13. And they
Wow.
go, well, what do you want to play, young man? Oh, can we play Nighttime is the Right Time? You want to play the Nighttime is the Right Time? All right. And I was like, oh, let's see what this white boy's about to do. And he stepped on it, man. Oh, wait a minute. This boy don't know nothing about the nighttime being the right time, but he's singing like he's singing, he's channeling something,
Yeah.
He's playing all them Albert King licks and I'm like, okay. Some people are it's just in you from the time that you get here.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
People
Yes,
find
sir.
their way to the instruments. Other people is like the instruments are already waiting for them before they arrive. That's how I feel about how you play. Very natural. Very
Thank
natural. You. Yeah. And it's funny you should mention like you're hanging out with the older cats because I was just speaking to my dear friend Levi Caesar Jr. today, actually. And I remember him telling me, I said, where'd you learn how to play all like his vibe is almost like country, but not like, like country music country, but just backwoods country, like front porch. I said, where do you get that from, man? You grew up in San Francisco, ain't no front porch.
Good
Said, yeah, but my people's from the country. He said, I learned there was this old man who used to sit, all he ever used to do is sit on the front porch and play guitar, and I brought mine over and he started showing me some things, and that's how I got my vocabulary together. And that's why he has the mindset of a very cosmopolitan musician. But when he started playing, all that country come out, and it just make your neck crooked. And it's that's why Prince never told Levi what to play. Levi just played whatever he felt, and Prince started batting his eyelashes and gritting his teeth like, oh, all right. That's a nasty place to live in. That's nasty. You live that where you live? That's a nasty place.
That's funny.
Did you tell Levi that we was talking to Kingfish tonight?
I did not, but I did draft him for doing an episode of MUSiPOLiTiX in the future.
Oh, nice.
Because he started telling me stories that I didn't know about, that just things that he and Prince would say about me when I wasn't around.
We definitely want to hear those.
Yeah.
We definitely want to hear those.
Was they good? Was they good?
Yeah, I mean, but it's funny because what you find, I'll just give you just a little dabble because, I mean, I won't go into the specific details, but what you find when you delve into the psyche of any musician you enjoy, almost anybody that you like to listen to, and Prince had the confidence to fill any room he was in, and the ego, to just like his ego couldn't even fit. And at least that's the presentation of a person on that level. But, when you get to know the details about a person's sort of headspace, you find out that every one of us, if you're a performer, it's some of that is due to certain, internal insecurities that you may hold. Like a lot of what we get into music because there are things that we can't express any other way. It's been my longtime theory. And, Levi told me some things that made me think like, wow, yeah, Prince was clearly a musical genius, but he was one of the hardest working, maybe the hardest working person I ever saw doing it. It wasn't through just natural gift. It was a determination and being a visionary. And what you find is that, people who knew him better than I did, because I
Mm-hmm.
was a young boy. I was about 10, 15 years behind everybody. So, a lot of things went on and conversations happened that I wasn't privy to and I wasn't supposed to be, because in the pecking order, I was, I was down there. I was at the bottom. But he just exposed to me. It's like, wow, yeah, I guess you think somebody who's made it in the music business, who's an icon, who's a bona fide star, would have no sort of, superficialities or insecurities, or they'd know who they were and not really, be shaken by some things. I mean, it's pretty well known that Prince was passed over many a time in the Rolling Stone 100 greatest guitar player.
Oh yeah. Oh
They
yeah.
always skip over Prince, and it's. I don't think it's a secret that it bothered him. Otherwise, why would he go on? Uh, on the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and and show out like that with his red derby on, and scorch everybody for 7 minutes, and at the time, a lot of people who weren't hip to him as a guitar player, got at me like, oh, I didn't know Prince could play like that. And I kind of just kept it to myself, but my feeling about it was that that it just came from a place of competition. It wasn't the right spirit. I'm like, you Prince, you don't have to prove yourself to anybody, man. I felt like he didn't have to do that, but he felt like he had to do that. And that's an extension of what I'm trying to say, I guess. It's just, competition is a good thing, as long as, your spirit about it is correct. And I really think that he felt like he was passed over. But the truth is, what Levi was saying to me is that people saw him as an entertainer first because he was so strong in all the other different categories. He was an entertainer who happened to play guitar, is how the general public saw it, and I think that he really wanted his credit because he worked hard to be a great guitar player. And it didn't seem like he ever got the proper nod. Carlos Santana got the proper, even Kurt Cobain got a nod,
Mm-hmm.
but not Prince. Like, that's crazy,
It's funny because one of the ways that Kingfish and I became friends is because we, as guitar players, were both fans of Prince as a guitar player.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, the thing that connected me and Kingfish have been social media friends for a long time, but the way that we actually started talking was when I found out that he was also a fan of not just Prince, but you and Sonny, because we were talking about the Undertaker album.
Oh,
and
boy.
for those who don't know, the Undertaker album, well, I guess I should let Michael say what the Undertaker album
To
was.
even call it an album is crazy because that was just what you hear is exactly how the night went down. It was just a jam session that Prince wanted to use the audio as an insert for Guitar Player magazine, and he was also wanted to press a few copies, just for his friends, just for close associates, because he was like, wow, this is really kind of special. It highlights me as a guitar player, like I'm a, I'm going to give people a rare glimpse into what happens, what we do, because that was like 3:00 in the morning. We were just doing what we almost always did, and then to have people react in such a way, like, wow, same thing. It's like, I didn't know Prince could play like that. But yeah, well, I mean, you get, me and Sonny behind him, which is we both have perfect pitch, and it's just he could when we played as a trio, he could do whatever he wanted. It was no consideration for, you didn't have to cue anybody in. It's like we both knew what key he was in. He already be, showing you where he's at with the rhythm. We just fall in and just kind of go wherever we went. So that actually was a more structured set of circumstances than normal. I have a cassette of us jamming at SIR when we
Man.
went out there to shoot the video for Peach. And actually, a lot of people don't know, we were planning on playing the House of Blues the next night as a trio, and it was kind of a rehearsal. And Prince decided at the last minute he didn't want to do it. So we just packed up and came back home. But yeah, it's that he really enjoyed playing with just us two, because again, no talking, let's just go. Let's just see what happens, you know? And that's kind of the Undertaker. Like, there was no set list. He just kind of, oh, Bambi, all right. Well, all right. You know, you check your middle Rolodex. Okay, yeah, that's right. That's how we play that one. You know, so it's ironic to me that there was that such a big noise was made about that release. It wasn't meant to come out proper, and that was kind of what sparked his whole situation with Warner Brothers. Like, he was just like, I'm just trying to, you know, press a couple of these for my friends, and they were just like, you can't do that. You signed to a major record deal. Anything you release, there's a scenario you have to walk through. You have to go through. It's you're Prince. You're a superstar. You can't just drop a jam session and say, here you go. That's revenue loss. That's, you know, he upset at everything and everybody with that. And he was just trying to express himself as an artist in the most convenient. I think that's why he started on that whole crusade, to get out and to be able to get his music directly to the fans with like MPG or what was it called? New Funk, 1-800 New Funk, and all that. From that moment, he was looking for a way to eliminate the middleman and get his music directly to his fans. And it all kind of started with The Undertaker. And he just went, oh, I'm sorry. I guess there was an oversight. You know what happened is some dude at the duplication plant was looked at like the bill of who brought it in and who was it for, what, how many copies, and it's like he asked the supervisor, do we have anything on schedule from Paisley Park? The dude was like, no. Why? What do you got? And you know, it's The Undertaker sitting there. So somebody over there had to have called Warner Brothers, like, you know, thinking somebody stole something or something was, you know, it just like all the red flags went off. You know, so it's funny. He's was a total genius, but didn't have the conventional wisdom to know, like, dude, you can't just put music out. You Prince.
Anyway. Crazy.
Let me ask this question, kind of to segue from what we're talking about, because like I said, that was how Kingfish and I kind of became friends. So, Fish, what was your exposure like? How did you become a fan of Prince as a guitar player, and how did you become a fan of Michael and Sonny? Like, when you were logging on, logging off and logging back on again, Michael and I were talking about how we both became exposed to you, which is, of course, the viral video when you were, you know, just a wee little lad. And so in reverse, you know, how did you become exposed to Prince and to Michael and Sonny? And then maybe that'll kind of also, then we can go from there to answering some of the questions people put up about how you started playing.
Man, well, I want to say this: 2007 Super Bowl halftime show. That's like that performance right there. I was 8 years old. That was the first Super Bowl I had watched, first Super Bowl halftime show, and that right there is what made me hooked. And I want to say I seen him like shortly after that. They did the Shaka Khan tribute on the BET Awards,
right.
and that performance right there got me hooked in. And how I found out. Matter of fact, I want to say how I found out about Sonny and Michael wasn't even through Prince. It was through Nick Jonas. Because when I like started to, so when I started to like dig into music and everything, when Nick Jonas had put out that first solo record, I got us. I was hearing songs like Rose Garden and an Olive and an Arrow and other stuff. So I was liking the rhythm section. Then I seen some video where both of them was playing, and I was like, wait a minute. I was like, the bass player looks like the guitar player from Nick Jonas and the Administration. So, with me and my ignorance at the time, like me being young, I went back and looked at some New Power Generation stuff, and yeah, man, and that's how and then not only that, through Dylan Safer up there in Minneapolis, I found out about the relationship that he had with Mike and Sonny, and so I would always hear like things from Dylan and Ken Valdez as well. So pretty much, yeah, man, man. So so that's how I got to know about him for sure.
Yeah, we cut with Ken like back in the day, actually. Like one of his first records, me and Sonny were on.
Oh wow!
So, yeah, I've been looking at Ken Valdez in the country a long time, man. It's Valdez in the country. It's funny to me that he even knew about that, because that's Dan. You familiar with that song, Valdez in the Country?
No,
it's a Donny Hathaway song.
Oh,
it's an instrumental.
I probably have heard it. I probably have heard it and didn't know the name.
Yeah, that's Ken Valdez. Valdez in the country. What's going on, man? So anyway.
It's funny you tell that story, Fish, because I've previously told the story. So I originally knew Michael and Sonny through Bunkers, because when I first started, I had a lot of music connections and a lot of family in Minneapolis, and so I started hanging out in Minneapolis. When I moved back to the Midwest, I started hanging out in Minneapolis a lot, and Bunkers is the spot if you're a musician that knows where to be. And so I was a fan of Michael and Sonny before I even realized that they were the Prince guys, And
just down there funk.
Yeah, because I mean that you will not hear a better band than the combo, or any band that Michael and Sonny provide the foundation for. You just won't. And so, but pretty shortly into it, I realized that those were the same guys. But then I don't know how many years later, I just happened to have the TV on to Letterman or Leno or whatever it was, and there's Nick Jonas, and I mean, you can't mistake Michael and Sonny. Like Michael with his overalls, and Sonny with the fro, and the left-handed, whether it's a guitar or bass. Like I was just like, I couldn't believe it, because I was one of those Jonas Brothers, I'm not paying attention, And then it was Michael, Sonny, Barbarella, and John Fields up there with Nick Jonas, and the vibe was just coming through the TV. Like it didn't matter, the TV speakers, you could tell how much electricity there was in that band, And I was just like, wow. So somebody, and I at this time I didn't realize that John Fields had produced so much of the Jonas Brothers stuff. I was like, somebody really told Nick Jonas what was up. Like he said who to get.
Yeah, and they literally, John was like, you need these guys right here. They all used to play with Prince, and I'm going to play bass. And it literally handpicked. I had already been cutting with them, though. I played on one of the singles called Paranoid. I think it might have been the first single off of their second or third record. But so I had already been familiar with them. I was doing different sessions for different artists on Hollywood Records. Like John was producing a lot, and I ended up being, the first call for drums on a lot of stuff. I played on a Miley Cyrus song called The 7 Things I Hate About You. It was just like a random thing that came through the pipe. I played on Remember December by Demi Lovato. So John Fields was keeping me working already.
we should connect John Fields and Kingfish.
Hey, listen, if King wants to come up here and cut, that's where we're gonna do it. I understand you got, you got a real good band. I'm not saying nothing about that.
Hey, whatever y'all want to do, I'm down. Let's set a date, Dan.
We always legit. We'll handle it like proper folk. But I'm just saying, like, it's definitely something. It's a thing that we've discussed. So
Yeah. But I'm just saying, I hadn't thought about involving Fields, but Fields would be a good person to have in the mix too.
Oh well, yeah. I mean, he would be a good person to have in the mix. But So that's pretty much what happened. Really, it's like, well, if you're going to hire him, you might as well hire him and him, and that's what happened. David Ryan Harris played on the record, but when it came time to tour, John Mayer was going back out, so he decided that he was going to stay with John Mayer and all his buddies. I mean, J.J. Johnson, those cats are great players, and it just was a situation that he was used to, and I'm sure, it just made more sense for him. So that's what happened. Is that it was like, well, who are we gonna get to play guitar? And Barbarella and I were already in, and we looked at each other, and then we told John Fields, we better get Sonny. He's like, for real? I said, yeah. Can't see anybody else but Sonny jumping in at this point. So Sonny joined the band and and was in the photo shoot for the record before he even played a note. They just on our word alone, we just went to Papa Jonas and said, we got the guy, and okay, well, let's get him out here for the photo shoot. And that was their first time meeting Sonny, and they didn't know what Sonny sounded like as a musician. And then we rolled into center staging, for our first few rehearsals, and Sonny had all his patches already together. They had ordered a left-handed Les Paul for him, and Sonny was ready to go. He was more prepared than the rest of us, really, in many ways. So Nick immediately fell in love with Sonny. And after the rest of us got too expensive, he kept Sonny on. Sonny kept going to, getting flown out to the Bahamas, getting flown out to, guesting on the Jonas Brothers shows. We brought Sonny in, and Sonny's the only one of us left now. And so that's Sonny. Yeah.
You've heard Sonny play guitar, but really play guitar, right, Fish? You've heard Sonny.
Oh yeah, most definitely. That was just I came across this clip where in the middle of Rose Garden when they would do it live, they would break the song down and he'll give it to Sonny, and Sonny would just shred it away for show. So man, big time.
That that Letterman performance when we played Rose Garden, it was tripping me out because Will Lee and Sid McGuinness, the cats in that band, they were all they got closer to see what was going on while we were playing. And I was like, this is their show. Why do they get so, why are they geeked up? But, Sonny's kind of a legend. Sid was right by Sonny taking pictures. Wow. And the same thing happened when we played Jimmy Fallon. Captain Kurt ran down the hallway to catch Sonny. Sonny, hold up, Sonny. Here, sign this, man. Autograph this, bro. The real cats know about Sonny.
Man, most definitely.
One of my I don't know what to call it, but it's like a mission for me almost. Is I really want to preach the gospel of Michael Bland and especially Sonny Thompson, because Sonny is such. I mean, to be the guy that taught Prince, taught Terry Lewis, taught most of the legends that people have heard of out of Minneapolis, and hardly anybody knows his name, and he's still out there doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And he's every bit as good a musician as the legend would have you to think.
Really.
Go ahead, Michael. Sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, that's the thing about Sonny, is that anything is really possible. It's cats think that they have him pegged down sometimes. They're and it's no, if Sonny can play any kind of music, really. It's just whatever you catch him playing sounds like he's been playing it all his life. So people second guess his versatility, when you're so convincing, it's well, he's real funky. I don't know if he can play rock roll music. Just put him in a rock roll band and see what he does. He can play. Sonny can bop. He can bebop on guitar as hard as anybody, man. It's just opportunity and context is all it takes, and you'll see. It's he'll start playing like George Benson. But
Michael, go ahead, Fish. I'm sorry.
I wanted to ask you a question, Mike. How did y'all land on Ronnie Baker Brooks' "Take Me With You" album?
Oh wow! Well, that was just Jelly Bean because he said so.
Oh, okay. I got you.
Y'all got to come down here, man. Y'all got to come to the studio now. and who's gonna argue with Jelly Bean? He's 8'12", and just call you out wherever you're at. So it's just like, hey man, Ronnie Baker Brooks is coming to town, baby. What y'all doing on? He just okay. He just gorilla pimped us on to the gig, and
Well,
that's how it
amazing.
He knows he's Jelly Bean. You can't say no to Bean. Who are you? I'm Jelly Bean. Who are you? So that's how that happened. And I love Ronnie Baker Brooks, man. He's a cold brother, man. He's a cold beast.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Man.
So let's jump back a little bit to Brandy's question, because there's a few more great questions in the comments. I don't want to lose them. So Fish, I think that's for you.
How old were you when you stopped learning? I want to say, okay, to the first question, I want to say like I was age 8. I always wanted to be a musician since age 3, but I didn't start learning until age 8. Where I learned at was the Delta Blues Museum in Clarksville, Mississippi. Now that answers the second question. Self-taught, it's kind of like yes and no. After when the Blues Museum kind of sent me on my way, that's when I kind of had to like learn on my own, like ear training and listening to records and YouTube as well. Going through videos of guys teaching scales and just just pretty much that was probably like the self-taught part. So pretty much I want to say like yes and no on the self-taught thing. But I got most of my teachers when I started like age 8 at the Delta Blues Museum back home in Clarksville, Mississippi.
All right.
So first of all, that's crazy to me to think about somebody, both like in terms of your skill level, as well as like the fact that you've actually, gone on to become a successful musician, saying, oh yeah, I started by learning on YouTube. Because the idea of YouTube, I remember when YouTube was I don't feel like I'm that old, but I guess I am, because I remember when YouTube was invented, and I was already, a working musician when they're like, this YouTube thing's going to become people say a lot of positive and negative things about social media, but being able to have that at your disposal, that you can go and find pretty much any kind of music you want with information in terms of how to play it. And I'm kind of processing that for you, because like you want to be able to find some of these old blues musicians that predate you, that aren't around anymore, but there's footage out there that you can access.
Right.
That's such a gift. Like the closest thing that Michael and I probably had growing up was being able to raid our parents' record collections.
Yeah, pretty much until MTV came on, that was it. It just like, and my people, my sisters were listening to Sly and Stevie Wonder and the Jackson 5 and, all that, and Aretha. And then like my mom was kind of into the contemporary hits. You hear the Hustle and rock the boat, don't rock the boat, baby. Don't tip the boat all up. She was listening to all that, whatever you could dance to. But my dad was listening to, Al Green, Ray Charles, Shirley Scott, Jimmy Smith. He liked a lot of the organists. But also he was into like Count Basie. And strangely enough, how do I put it exactly? I think the dude's name was Mantovani. Like it was like what are they? It's like boutique music for like white people like to listen to, like sophisticated, like what we call it like elevator music now. But it's like my dad liked it.
I was just about to ask, like, were you trying to say like elevator music, like
kind of. And like the soundtrack to Dr. Zhivago, like he really had a wide palette and taste, along with listening to the 5 Blind Boys from Alabama, and James Cleveland, and the Soul Stirrers, and Sam Cooke was also a big deal. So
let me interrupt real quick and just ask Kingfish: did you grow up playing in church?
Man. What? See, before, like, even though I live in a blues city, come from blues culture, when I was 8, that's when I pretty much found the blues. But before that, what made me want to be a musician? My mom on her side of the family, she sung in a quartet group. Like my family on that side is like made up of 2 quartet groups. The group that
That
she
quartet
led,
style. That quartet is
yeah,
still on you,
yeah.
man. That's what I hear sometimes.
Thank you, man. Thank you, man. We try to ease it out there. We try to ease
Yeah,
it out
I
there,
know. I hear it, man. Under that distortion box, I hear that. Oh, that's some quartet right there. All right.
So, real
But
quick
yeah.
tangent, real quick commercial break for people who aren't really familiar with like gospel quartet music. What would be an example of a song that they should go look up? Like, what's your favorite quartet song?
My favorite, man. I got plenty of favorites.
Okay, well, pick up a good example. Because you're from Mississippi, you have like maybe Lee Williams or
Yeah. Ken Spirituals, you know, even though that's like all of that's like when, you know, even though like all of that's like when quartet kind of evolved, you know, before that you had like, you know, the Fairfield Four and the Swanee Quintet and the Pilgrim Jubilees, and then, you know, the guys who brought like the R&B flavor to it. That's why I like the Ken Spirituals so much, because they had like R&B grooves to their music. So like, of course, like Lee Williams, the Williams brothers, the Jacksons of the Navs, Willie Banks, list goes on and on. Like, check all of that out.
Wait, who was I'm just a nobody.
Williams brothers, yes,
okay.
Williams brothers.
Trying to tell everybody about somebody who can say it is.
I didn't mean to cut you off, Michael, but since you started talking about gospel music, I wanted to go there because I've seen Kingfish playing in church, and I wasn't sure
favorite. No, my favorite is since you talk about favorite quartet. Well, wait a minute. Does Mighty Clouds of Joy count as a?
Of course.
Okay. I just want to make sure. Listen, it's all good music to me. But there was a live recording of them singing "We've Come This Far by Faith," and Spanky played with the Mighty Clouds.
He did.
Yeah, he did.
Okay, then maybe that's him, because the guitar player on this particular recording, man, is killing it. But the bass player too, man. I mean, it's that's my favorite.
Is it the one where they have on like white suits?
I think so.
Okay, yeah, I think that's the gospel concert that they did with James Cleveland.
Okay.
If I'm not mistaken, most definitely, yeah.
They started out talking. No, actually, you know what? Is there a record of them playing at the Apollo? It's somewhere now. Because they got an announcer coming on, and then and you hear him bing, 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 playing that D6. And then we've come this far. And
live at the Apollo, 1972. Let's see if that song is on there.
We'll see about it. I'm not sure, but man, they're so killing on it.
Man,
legendary. Did you know Spanky Fish? You ever get a chance to meet him?
Not personally, because he passed away. Then he passed away like once in like 07, 09, 08.
I forget how young you are.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, like I was just getting started like around that time. But when I found out about him, when I was like going through like all the different like R&B, guitar players, like Jubu, Isaiah Sharkin, and Jerez Mosey. So like, and even Rob Bacon, who played on some of those like, DJ Quick tracks.
Mm-hmm.
So and that's how I found out about Spanky.
Rob is so cold, man. Me and Sonny.
Oh man.
The last recording session that Billy Preston did, it was me and Sonny and Rob Bacon and Kenneth Crouch was on keys, and it was a session for we were recutting what was it? I Can't Stand the Rain. It was for a record by Sam Moore from Sam and Dave, and they kept saying Billy Preston's on the session. And we were there for a hot minute, and we started jamming. And Billy walked in the middle of the jam. And Kenneth Crouch, I'd never seen somebody get up off the organ so fast in my life. That. And Billy sat down, man. I don't think he turned that cup of coffee loose the whole time. He was playing with one hand. And he just chopped everybody that day. Man. But Rob, me and Sonny were looking at Rob like, man, wait a minute, you must be from the same planet we from, man. What did he was Rob Bacon, man. He snuck up on me, bro. The other cats I seen coming. But yeah, like it's funny because it's you mentioned we talked about everybody in that little group of guitar players except for Jeff Lee, and I would be curious to know if Kingfish knew about Jeff Lee at all. You know about Jeff Lee Johnson from Philadelphia at all?
I'm ashamed to say I do not. I do
That's
not. I
okay.
do not. But learn me
Well,
learn me real quick.
I'll
Learn me
I'll-
real quick.
Fish.
What'd you say, Spiff?
I said school is about to be in session, Fish.
Well, I mean, I can't do it all here. I'm going to send you some recordings of, maybe I'll send you some YouTube links. You can see for yourself. But you talking about somebody? I mean, he played at some point. He played bass with James Cleveland, like in the '70s. He was the cat when Spanky got the diabetes bad and had to take a break from D'Angelo. Jeff Lee had played with D'Angelo on the Brown Sugar tour, but came back, and it was him and Isaiah for a little while, I think, on that gig on D'Angelo, like on the Voodoo tour.
Okay. Okay.
Short brother playing a Strat, and just like almost not moving at all.
Does he always wear shades? Does he always wear shades?
Sometimes, yeah. Like if you see him, it's go ahead. Sorry.
No. What you were saying? What were you saying?
I was just saying that he also played with before he passed away, he was playing with Esperanza Spalding. If you know anything about her, it ain't the blues, but
right, yeah,
she does her thing. Yeah, definitely. This is a real musical cat. Great bass player, great guitar player, good vocalist, like strong writer actually. Never given his proper due. But D'Angelo, when Jesse Johnson went to rehearse with D'Angelo, he had Jeff Lee take the train up from Philadelphia to show Jesse the set, and Jesse was looking like who is this cat? And what I heard he said was like, why don't you just take this dude, man? What you need me here for? And Jesse Johnson is a bad cat. You know about Jesse?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yes, sir.
I mean, yes, sir. As a blues guitar player, like his vocabulary is wide, man. Sonny and I did a trio gig with him at First Avenue. It was supposed to be like a Jimi Hendrix tribute, but it turned into something else entirely. But the rehearsals they were deep. We got to the stage, it was like, what are we doing? We hadn't really prepared a set. But man, Jesse plays the blues, man. He's from Rockford, Illinois, but he's like Jesse really, Prince really was into Jesse as a guitar player, and you can look at any of those old videos of the time playing live back when they used to whoop Prince and them on their own set, and then Prince got mad and wouldn't let them play in New York or LA on that tour, because back then, Kingfish, the news was mainly from the two coasts. Like news would travel to the center of the country from California and New York. So if you whooped anybody, Prince and the Revolution got whooped in New York City, news would travel across the whole state, And Prince was smart to do that, but I mean, again, we're back to this thing. It's like no matter how great somebody is, it's hard to say what their insecurities will govern when it comes time for them to, handle themselves. And Prince knew that the time was mopping the floor up with Prince and his band. And he was like, no, you will not embarrass me in the national press. Y'all ain't even gonna play. So take that.
I want to jump back to Jeff Lee real quick, because you've told me stories about what both Prince and Jubu had to say about Jeff Lee.
Well, Prince tried to deny that he knew who he was. So I don't know what that's saying, but Jubu, yeah, I mean, do you know Jubu, Kingfish?
Oh yeah, yes sir.
And he may have told. Well, maybe he hasn't told you this story, because he was telling me we were going to, me and Jubu and
Goucher.
Oh, you about to tell the story from me, because I'm trying to remember who all was there. Yeah,
Goucher was there. Goucher,
Cassandra. Goucher. Yeah, we were. For a minute I thought about going back. We started rehearsing a different rhythm section for Prince in sometime in like 2011, I think it was. And I ultimately just didn't have time to do it. And Prince ran on his own schedule. He always did. And I just, once you leave that environment, it's hard to go back to it, because Prince is the type of artist where you needed to be accessible 24 hours a day. I can't count the number of times I got called in to record, at like 3, 4 in the morning. Just they call and you get up and you go, And but Jubu told me a story. Prince left the room and Jubu was talking about, he said, man, I happened to bring up Jeff Lee's name. He's like, let me tell you a story. And he starts telling me about how competitive he was as a guitar player, and he got very confident at an early age. And he said his dad sat him down one day and said, son, one day you're going to meet a guitar player that's going to make you rethink everything you're doing. Like, you're going to meet somebody better than you, and I want to prepare you for that day when it comes. And you shouldn't be discouraged. You should look at it as inspiration, so on and so forth. And he said that guitar player was Jeff Lee Johnson.
Oh, man.
And
ask Jubu next time you talk to him about Jeff Lee.
Oh, I will.
Jubu knows about Jeff Lee, yeah. And
oh yeah, I'm gonna put a note of that in my phone. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, because I want to hear more on that for sure.
Mm-hmm. But he's just like a guitar player is guitar player. I mean, when you could see him on, what was it, like the Leno show when D'Angelo played How Does It Feel? He's a short dude just playing the dick. That's all he doing the whole time. He's looking like he's waiting on his laundry to come out the dryer. But he's killing the guitar, man. He's just an incredible player, incredible cat, man.
Wow.
But enough of that. He's somebody who, I had the pleasure to work with for a while. It made me really sad when he passed away, and we want to dwell on. He'll be a part of your future, and let's get to that. But first, let's talk about who your favorite cats are. I'm sure some of these cats we just talked about are dear to your heart. I seen you on some gig you stepped on. Eric Gales was playing somewhere, and I was like, ooh, oh, wait a minute, look at Kingfish. Where'd he come from? I was like, so that says to me already that Eric has an infinite amount of respect for you and what you do, that he turned the stage over to you for a hot minute.
Eric will do that with everybody.
No,
he don't.
Not at all. Not at all.
No, he does not. And I'll tell you a story sometime when we're not on the air. But yeah. So I was like,
turn the record button off for a moment, Dan.
No, okay, we'll get around to it, man. You family now, Kingfish. So we'll talk. We'll talk real talk.
Yes,
but Michael's question though, who are your?
Who do you like now? Well, just who do you like? You don't have to pick favorites. Who are you listening to? Are you listening to anybody, or they got to listen to you now?
Oh man, like I said, I'm a big fan of her. I really dig her right now, because I feel like she's a great guitar player, and she's like, she's bringing like an image, in like this day and in like this generation that you really don't see, a lot, so just to have that in the mainstream, areas, is really cool. So most definitely her. All the jazz guys is coming in, like Thundercat and Kamasi Washington and Robert Glasper. I'm always listening to listening to them, but stuff that's like, not really musically in embellished, if you want to put it like that. I'm always listening to like, late 90s, not late 90s, but like early 90s, like G-funk hip hop, Southern hip hop, because I like the grooves to it, because they have like very like, G-funk style, heavy bass guitar grooves. So that's why I love like old Southern hip hop, from Houston, all the DJ Screw stuff, even like some underground Mississippi stuff. Like, I'm always like listening to like stuff that got like heavy bass lines, like funk, type of vibes to it.
I remember when Warren G came out, Prince read something about the G-funk era. He's like, I like that. The G-funk
really?
era.
Oh man.
Yeah, he was like,
man.
that's it, Matt. he called his music the G-Funk era. I remember Prince being impressed by that. I don't know why. It just sounded hard, I guess.
Oh man, that is tight. That is tight.
He called it his like, and now you're living in the G-Funk era. Like, ooh, okay. Well, all right.
I like that.
Yeah. So I was gonna say also, Robert Glasper is crazy.
Oh
like,
yeah, man.
Some of the stuff he plays, it's like, dude, I don't know what planet you came from. You know, he's definitely different.
Man, definitely different, man. It's like those guys like, aliens, man. Like say, when it comes to guitar players, of course, like, man, we just mentioned like Eric Gibbs was like a big like influence on my playing because even I knew about Jimi Hendrix like when I was going through all the blues, like listening to like Lightning Hopkins and Johnny Shines and Robert Johnson and Son House and even the electric blues guys like Albert King, B.B. King, and Freddie King. I really didn't have a sense of like what rock, let alone black rock sounded like. So I knew who Hendrix was, but when I got a whiff of like who Eric was, that was like my key to like, okay, I can do something different. That's that's the norm. And not only that, he was a Southern dude too. He's like right up, up in Memphis. And Memphis ain't nowhere from where I live at. So I kind of found that to be kind of relatable. So that was like my introduction to like all the rock guys, and then, like I said, so like not only that, I got the introduction, from Prince at the halftime show, and then when I started to play guitar, it kind of made me appreciate his music a little bit more because now I'm a musician and I'm listening to how he arranged things, like Signs of the Times, like as simple as that song is, one of my favorites, because it has, like even his guitar playing and that even had like blues influence. So
That's right.
man, I was man. So like I was always like listening to stuff, man. Even Ernie Isley was one of like the guys that man, even one of the guys that like rocked it up for me that I looked at. So yeah, man, like a whole bunch of everybody.
Well, what about any of the rhythm players like Tony Maiden? You hip to Tony at all?
Oh yeah, man, from Rufus.
Yeah, come on, man. I hear all this. You ain't telling me everything I'm asking for, Kingfish.
Oh man, hey man, my man, hey man.
Tony Maiden is so cold, man. I mean, playing, Pocket and all that rhythm, man, and all that color in his playing.
Most definitely.
Okay, yeah, and I guess I was gonna also ask, like, did you ever get around to listening to, like, any of like the British guitar players that recycled the blues and came back with, like Jeff Beck or Jimmy Page from Led Zeppelin, like any of that?
Is Gary more British or is he Irish?
Yes, he is. He's Irish. Right. He's Irish.
Okay. Well, I know he's Irish, but like Gary Moore was like a big influence, well, because if you notice, like I'm always like I was always like drawn to like the humbucker sound. So like he was like a big influence.
Yeah,
Gary
man, Moore, man.
Yeah, man. Jeff Beck for sure. Even like early Clapton, Cream, even though some of that, even though I had a teacher show me some of that in 5th grade. So yeah, I got like a whiff of the Brit guys for sure.
All right, I was just wondering, and like if you liked the way any of those dudes happened to play. But
big time, big time. Because like when you play like blues rock today, it's like you got to listen to some of that. It's all Hendrix for sure, but like those guys, kind of had some great tones going on, like the Yardbirds and and the list go, all them guys, man, big time.
Okay, all right. I'm just checking the list, man. Trying to
taking the poll.
See what you don't what don't y'all don't know about. What don't y'all don't do? What's that from the 5 Heartbeats?
That's right.
Red. Okay. Look at here, y'all sing and dance. Man, what don't y'all don't do?
Big Red.
Big Red. Hanging cats off the balconies. That was early Suge night. Big Red was early Suge. Anyway. Man. Well, okay. Well, maybe we need to do a rig rundown with Kingfish right now. Tell us what are you playing? What do you what acts are you favoring these days?
Okay, well, here's the thing. So like early like 2016. If you go watch some old videos, I'm using like this Les Paul style guitar. A friend of mine up in the East Coast by the name of Mike Chertoff, he built that. So, like I said, I'm a humbucker guy, so that's what pretty much the tone and sound that I'm drawn to, and the sound that pretty much everybody like tries to, well, not try, but like everybody, seems to, have me associated with. Well, that kind of changed like when I had got associated with Fender, and I did Strats for a while, I did Tellys and everything, but then I just decided before we started this tour back, I kind of wanted to go back home to the humbuckers because that's where I'm more comfortable with and stuff. So right now I'm using a Fender Boxer Telly, a Japanese made from Fender. It's like a Telly but has like two dual humbuckers, and it has the single core on switching there as well. So that's pretty much what I'm rocking with. And I want to say as far as like pedals, well, yeah, back to guitars, I'm still using the Strats and everything and the Chertoff custom, but pretty much I'm trying to keep everything like humbucker based because that's like what my sound is I'm comfortable with. And pedals, I'm taking on this ride when it comes to the pedals. When I got into like Prince and everything, and I saw what he was using and Ernie Isley, I went haywire. Choruses, phasers, flanges, all types of stuff.
Yeah.
And so, but when I realized that my music didn't need it, I kind of scaled down a little bit. So right now I'm just using a wah Dunlop mini wah, to be precise. I'm using a way huge conspiracy theory and a tuner. So wah distortion, tuner, and play acoustic on some songs. So that's pretty much like my rig today. Pretty much, yeah.
Okay, what kind of amp is all that going through?
I'm currently, being from Mississippi, and we got the Mississippi Marshall, the PV. So I'm always using like either PV Delta Blues or the PV Class. Hey.
You got a Tweed?
Church.
What about the Tweed? You got a Tweed?
I don't
Classic
have a
30's
Tweed,
Tweed, isn't it?
Say it again.
Isn't the classic 30 comes in Tweed?
Oh yeah. The classic 30 is Tweed. The Delta Blues is Tweed. And as far as like Fender Tweeds, I don't have, but I do have a Fender Deluxe Reverb that I'm currently like, filling out for sure.
Yeah.
So right now you're not using any pedals for gain or distortion. You're just anytime you need to kick the gain up, you're just using what's in the amp.
Oh no. Now the pedal that I'm using is a way huge conspiracy theory. It's modeled after the Klon Centura joint. The pedal that everybody pays like $2,000 for.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah. It's modeled after one of those.
I've never heard of that. When you talked about that, for some reason I thought that was the name of your tuner, and I was like, that's a weird name for a tuner.
Nah.
I'm gonna have to look that up. That's an overdrive pedal?
Yeah. It's made by Way Huge, and before I was using that, I was using the MXR Sugar Drive, which is also another clone. But to me, they sound alike. But for some, not sound alike because the Way Huge has like more beefier gain for me. So I'm sticking with the conspiracy theory.
I might just order me one of those right now just to try it.
Guitar players, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't generally use a lot of pedals either, but I like trying new stuff. And then, sometimes I'll try new stuff and go right back to the same old stuff. And sometimes I'll make a switch. It's funny because I just ordered the other day, I heard Corey Wong. I don't know if you know him. Michael and I know him.
Yeah.
He was talking about his favorite compressor. And I've never really played with a compressor as part of my rig. Because my thing was like so many of the guys that I look up to would just plug straight into the amp. Like if they didn't need a compressor, then why does anybody need a compressor?
Mm-hmm.
But he was talking about how much he felt it improved the sound. So I was like, I at least want to try it. So I ordered one, and I think it might even be sitting in a box outside my house. I haven't even had a chance to open yet. And I'm going to try it. And there's probably a 10% chance it'll make it onto my pedal board. It'll probably just be one of those that sits in the studio and gets pulled out on rare occasion. But it's got a 10% chance of making it to the board. And I'm looking for this Way Huge pedal. It's not immediately coming up where I can buy it. It's coming up like I can find it. So I'll look for it after the show, and might try to play with one of those too. I still, for overdrive, I still have a Bad Monkey. Do you remember those?
Yeah. The joints from Digitech.
And I mean, I've taken that off my board and put more expensive pedals on it so many times, and I keep putting the Bad Monkey back on because it's got that grit, and so like I said, there's a slim chance that the conspiracy theory would make it on there, but I want to give it a try because if it's good enough for Fish, it's more than good enough for me.
Yeah, see me, man, like I like high gain distortion. Again, a result that comes from listening to a whole lot of Prince. You know, so like I like high gain distortion. So that's what I like about it. And it not only that it cleans up nice, it cleans up nicely if that's not your thing, big time. And you can use it like, for like an amp booster.
No, it's definitely my thing. I still, and again, this is from listening to Prince, but then the guy who told me to start using it was Rick Watford. You guys know Rick Watford?
Yeah.
Guitar player from Atlanta. He's very similar to Jubu in terms of the work that he's done and his stature as a player and his personality as a player. Great dude. But there's still a metal zone on my board because of Rick Watford.
Really?
Yes. He did a song years ago when I was living in Mississippi. Matter of fact, there was a choir from Mississippi called Youth for Christ that did a song called "The Struggle Is Over," and he used a little distortion on the vamp of that song, and that distortion sounded so pretty to me. So I sent him a MySpace message. This was back in the MySpace days. Kingfish wasn't even born yet. And I sent him a MySpace message, and I said, "Rick, what are you using on that song? Because that distortion is so musical." And he said, "That's a metal zone." And I'd never thought about using a metal zone before because metal's in the name. I'm like, what do I need? That's for metal, right? But he said, no, if you tweak it's got a parametric EQ in it. If you tweak the mid-range in that parametric EQ, it becomes very warm. And so to this day, I've taken it off my board many times and put more expensive pedals on there. The metals don't always end up back on there. But again, that was another, Prince had that board full of Boss pedals.
Yeah, full of Boss pedals. Yeah, that was another thing. Yeah, like I wanted to ask Michael, because that's like one of the like other things that I really admired about him, that as far as like pedals, and like he didn't use he didn't use stuff that cost a lot of money, like the Boss pedals. Like a lot of guitar elitists consider those to be like cheap. So like I really thought that was cool, that he used like Line 6 pedals and Boss pedals and stuff like that. I really thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I remember the day that somebody brought in when the Zoom was when the one of the first Zooms that you could control. Like I remember the modules, but then you got the controller. And I remember he stumbled across the Sick Goose and was like, "Ooh, I like that." That's when you started hearing all that Sick Goose all the time. He was just into that sound. I was like, Sick Goose it's a standard patch. Anybody can get it.
Man.
Yeah. I think my other favorite fact is that I think it was on the MUSiPOLiTiX tour. I think that was when Takumi just started Prince's guitar tech. He started just changing amps all the time. Like he would just, try different stuff. And Prince would, mainly be hearing from his monitors anyway. So he'd have like a Soldano backstage, mic'd up. Or maybe an AC30. Like he'd just change amps on Prince to see how he'd react. And see what he was into. He'd never tell him about it. Just like, how's it sound? Everything sound all right? Oh, yeah, I like it today. Yeah. Just out of boredom, I think. And also, I think just kind of to get a sense for, what might happen, what might be, what it might inspire for him to hear himself, coming through a different amplification. I don't think he ever told Prince. He just did it.
It's interesting because the amp that apparently they settled on for a lot of those like 2000s era tours was the Mesa Lone Star. And I love the Mesa Lone Star. And I'll tell you my Mesa Lone Star story is I was on tour and I always request a Fender Twin for backline when I tour because I know what I'm going to get, And I don't know about the kind of tours that Fish does. I know Michael's done some much more luxurious tours than I have, but the tours that I do, you know, you're lucky to get what you ask for, you know? And so, you know, if you ask for something that's way off the wall, you're unlikely to get it. You got to stick to standard stuff and then hope and pray and cross your fingers, you know? Yeah. And so I always to this day Fender Twin, and if you can't get me a Fender Twin, anything that's loud and clean. And so I was on this tour. I don't even remember who the artist was. Gospel tour, big like arena room, and they had a Mesa Lone Star, and then in like a smaller room in the same like convention center, they had a Twin. And I'm like, but I was playing with the headliner, so I was like, hey, can we switch these around?
Switch.
And the guy who was doing backline says, try that Mesa before we switch them, because you know a lot of Mesas have a very kind of like, they don't have that sparkle that Fenders have, and I really like that clean sparkle. But the Mesa Lone Star's got a tweed setting. He said that Lone Star can do everything that your Twin can do and then some. And I tried it, and he was right. Because the thing about a Twin is it sounds great clean. Doesn't always sound as great with distortion. I mean, it sounds solid with distortion, but it's like there's other amps that sound better with distortion. Nothing sounds better than a Twin clean, in my opinion. And so this Lone Star sounded just as good as the Twin clean and just as good as the best high gain amp with distortion. I was so impressed. And so the only reason I haven't bought one for myself is because they're like $3,000 and they weigh like 100 pounds.
Oh, and yeah. They're heavy as hell. Yeah.
It's like, I don't need anything heavier than a Twin. I don't need anything more expensive than a Twin. But like, I love it. And then so I found out that that's what Prince was using, and I'm like, that makes sense, because he likes the sparkly clean and he likes the high gain distortion, and that's like the only amp I've ever played that could really do both at like a really high level. Real quick, before, because I'm sure we're losing some people nerding out about the gear. Real quick though, have you tried the new Fender Tone Master amps?
Yeah. I actually I played through it. We did a little private event for Fender, and that was the amp that they had on stage before it came out. So I got a chance to test it, and I actually thought it was cool because, again, like you said, well, as far as sound quality, I thought, like, I'm not really into like digital, amps, like,
right.
in whole like modeling thing. But when they told me like that they had all of that, I was listening to it, and it sounded like remotely close to like the real thing. And not only that, it doesn't weigh like 3,000 pounds too. Like, it's kind of light. And I see now that they're about to release like a super reverb version. And I didn't get the Twin version, but I think I want to try that the super version for sure.
Try, yeah, I mean, I'd be excited to try the super reverb version too. If you haven't tried the Twin version, try the Twin version too. I think it nails it even closer than the deluxe version does. I had an opportunity to buy one early on before, like at like cost, before that, like people really knew what they were. I had an in to get it, and I took a chance on it because, I was like, if it's even close to what they're saying they can do, it's worth it to me, because I'm a guy that still has to bring his own amp to at least half the gigs I do. I'm not up there with you guys that has, a tech at every single show that sets up your gear.
Oh, man, I ain't got no tech, man. It's just,
man, listen. Hold up, man. Exactly. I was going to say,
Michael's got Pistol Pete. Come on.
Not on the road, though. On the road, it's like whoever gets around to setting up the drums is whoever gets around to setting them up. Then I show up and, okay, all right. I mean, they do a good job, but I'm like, the guitar tech is usually setting my drums up. This tour we're going on now, might be the front of house guy. So
is Cody going on this tour with you guys?
Unfortunately, he can't, but we got this cat named Colin that came highly recommended by Cody. Cody brought him in. The dude's been doing a great job at rehearsals, so I expect things to go well.
Cody is Michael's longtime engineer, and he's another person you have to meet. He makes Michael sound, like Michael in any situation.
Sweet.
Cody's the bomb, man. He's got so much business going on with installations and whatnot and mixing here in town that he had to do the responsible thing. And it really hurt his heart because he really wanted to go, but he just couldn't make it work.
Yeah. But in any case, I was saying I got that amp and I couldn't be happier with it. You know?
Okay.
Because I'm not a digital guy either. My pedal board's all analog. I have tube amps, and the only solid state amps I had up to this point were like, I don't know if you've ever played, Yamaha made a series of solid state amps in the 70s that they weigh as much as a twin, they weigh as much as a tube amp, and they sound like a tube amp, and they're loud like a tube amp. I was just about to name drop Jeremy.
Yeah.
See,
he's actually done me a solid before and set those drums up before I came off the bus. So,
not just about that, but about the guitar gear stuff too. Jeremy,
sure.
We were just talking about Fish's rig, and I was asking him if he'd had any experience with the Fender Tone Master amps. And I got my Tone Master right before the pandemic, so I've only had a chance to play it on a few gigs. But you know how no two tube amps sound the same?
Not at all.
So to me, the Tone Masters sound like one of the tube amps that maybe might not, like you put 6 Fender Twins in a room. Some might sound amazing, some might sound almost amazing. It sounds like one of the almost amazing tube amps. You know, it's and again at being a third of the weight, maybe even less, and not having to worry about, are my tubes going bad, or are they, I'm coming in from negative 20 degrees and I got to bring the amp in and let it get to temperature before I plug it in, and
Minnesota with the Midwest.
I found it to be a very worthwhile investment. Before we move off of gear, Jeremy, do you have anything you want to chime in? Jeremy is another one of Michael's engineers. He's also the bass player in Soul Asylum. Was formerly the guitar tech for Soul Asylum, and he knows so much about engineering and about gear that if he has anything he wants to chime in, he'd be
that's what's up, man, for sure.
I mean, he's not my engineer. He's just a really good engineer that I'm excited to work with and happy to know.
When
he's his own.
I'm just saying, when I've done sessions for Michael, he's been one of the engineers that Michael has hired, which speaks highly to me.
Yeah, well, in the studio, I want JT. In live, I want Cody. So yeah, and I definitely got my drathers with cats, and he says he's here to listen.
Yeah,
so, and that's what it is. That's why I enjoy working with JT, because he's there to gain information. He's always just kind of sopping it up. He's got strong instincts as an engineer. We got one of I don't know if he's into what I'm into or if I'm into what he's into with drum tones, but together we've just sort of forged this working relationship that he's my favorite engineer to track with now.
Ooh, cool.
That's what's up. Rightfully so.
Yeah.
Well, so before we get too far, let's tell us about this project. You just had a record come out, what, last Friday? Was it?
Yeah. Pretty much last Friday on the 23rd. It's my second record that's releasing. 2 years later, the first one, Kingfish, was in 2019. This one is the one that we named 662. What happened was, of course, everybody knows what happened last year with the pandemic or whatnot. And we had a lot of time, to utilize, put it like that. So me and buddy guys, producer Tom Hambridge, and another friend of ours, Richard Fleming, and I pretty much just set up like Zoom sessions all the way from like May to September, and every Thursday we were just every Thursday we were just write songs, and out of all those like songwriting sessions, we end up with like 21 songs, and we end up pretty much like recording them for like a week in September in Nashville. And my direction for this record, the first one was personal, but it wasn't like really personal. Like you really didn't get Kingfish and his story. And this one was kind of like, I kind of wanted to go that route because a lot has happened in the last 2 years since the first one. A lot of growth personally, musically, vocally, just, all around growth. So that's pretty much what we want to showcase in this record, and that's what we talked about and wrote about, in those months in quarantine and everything. And the reason why I call it 662, because 662 is the area code for the North Mississippi Delta where I come from. And we figured just, since I came back home off tour, back home to the 662, this chapter of my life that you're about to hear is, 662. And that's the song, most definitely.
All right.
So who all played on this record?
Pretty much Tom Hamers did drums. His bass player, Tom McDonough, pretty much held the low end on bass. And session player by the name of Kenny Greenberg played on a couple of songs, and another guy as well. I'm forgetting his name, but I know he just did Dale McClendon's last record that won a Grammy back in 2019. So that was pretty much the whole like landscape. And Marty Salmon, who plays keys in Buddy's band,
okay,
he pretty much played as well. And so, yeah, and musically how we wanted to go, like the first record was like blues, or traditional blues and blues rock, but it was more traditional blues than anything. This one we kind of want to like push the envelope a little bit, and 2 years later we want to show some growth musically. So that's why some songs have like different chord progressions. Even like one of the songs that the young lady just mentioned, "You're Already Gone." There was a bridge in the song that has like this like quiet storm type of feel to it. So we just want to showcase some different things and show all the growth and whatnot.
Yes.
So the guys that played on the record, are they the same guys that you tour with, or is it a different?
Not at all. Not at all. Just session guys. The guys that play with me are all home Mississippi guys except my keyboard player. Paul Rogers on bass. He's from Tupelo, Mississippi, Elvis country. And my drummer, Chris Black, he's from Shelby, Mississippi.
Right
which ain't too far in the Delta from me. And my keyboard player, Eric Robert, he's from Nashville.
Oh, right on. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, where are you living at?
I actually still live in Mississippi, Clarksville, Mississippi, Coahoma County.
Okay.
And yeah. So I still live back home.
That's all right, man.
Do you think, is that like, do you ever want to, do the stereotypical musician thing and move to LA or Nashville or New York or even Chicago as a blues city, or do you really like want to live in Mississippi for the rest of your life? Are you?
Oh no, nah, man.
I didn't mean to make it sound like it was a bad thing.
No. You fine, man. You fine. Here's the thing, like there were a few places I wanted to go to, like when my mom was alive, we wanted to like settle on Nashville, and then when she passed away, I was like, well, you know what? I'll spend another year in Mississippi, and I'll go to LA. But then COVID happened, so and they kind of messed everything up. So right now, it's funny you mentioned, I'm actually in the process of trying to like get out of Mississippi. But I'm not going to go too far from home. I'm gonna go to like a spot up in Tennessee where I cannot, where I'm far from the house, but I'm not too far because my dad, can still come up.
That makes a lot of sense because I was just thinking about it. Like, I mean, there's nothing wrong with staying in your hometown as long as you've made connections outside of your hometown, which you clearly have. Because if you like it there, with these days with so many things being virtual and so many places when it's not a pandemic being only a short flight away, but I also could definitely see you like being in Memphis where there's a little bit more going on.
Funny you said that. Yeah.
But you're still close to home.
There's a little bit of everything going on, a little more gunfire, a little more shooting. Yeah, Memphis, yeah.
I mean,
you talk about living,
that's a good sales point right there. That's a good sales point right there, man.
I'm just saying, it's they like to shoot them up in Memphis, and I like Memphis myself. I've stayed at the what's that hotel right on Beale Street?
Peabody.
Yes, I've stayed there many a time. They got good food at the Peabody. What? Their room service is better than. Well, I mean, I guess what I think is it BB King's is across the street.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, that's all right, but that's for the tourists. But somehow, whoever's cooking at the Peabody, man, somebody's grandmama, they got locked up in the kitchen and they don't let her go nowhere.
That's the thing about the South is you never know where you're going to find. Like you can go to a Golden Corral in the South and somebody's grandma will come out the kitchen like, you like them greens? Boy, I just made them greens. And
Exactly.
It's like Golden Corral. Right? You never know where.
It's colloquial. You were exactly right. It's like, it's different enough. It depends on who's preparing the food. Yeah.
I'll never forget. And nobody ever believes me when I tell this story. The best wings I've ever had in my life were at an IHOP in, I think it was Kansas City, Missouri, somewhere on tour. And somebody was there was like, order the wings. My guy's in the kitchen. I was like, I'm not ordering wings from IHOP. And they're like, no, order the wings. And I ordered the wings. And to this day, I've never had wings like that. But it was it was some Southern IHOP where somebody was in the kitchen and they had the, and my dumb ass, I thought that must have been an IHOP thing. So the next time I went to IHOP in the North, I ordered the wings, and they were like, "We don't have wings here."
Wasn't even on the menu.
Can I get the wings, Rick? Can I get the wings, man? Let me get the wings.
I think I found another IHOP with wings later, and they were terrible. And I was like, okay, so that was clearly a one-off situation.
Trust your friends. Did these cats look like they could eat?
Oh yeah.
Okay, yeah, they gotta have bellies. Like me and Kingfish, you gotta have a little belly if you know.
I was gonna say this is
good food. You can't be skinny and no good
skinny
food.
People. Yeah, this is we know food here on this.
You gotta have a little gut. Don't trust no skinny person about where to eat.
I had an uncle that used to have a sign in his kitchen that said, "Never trust a skinny cook."
Oh well,
wild word.
Same principle.
Yeah,
but and it's funny because whenever I get to Memphis, it's always the debate about where to get barbecue from. It's like, now me, I'm cool with Rendezvous, no problem, but I get cussed up and down by the locals. Man, why y'all go to Rendezvous? You could have gone down over to what's his place?
JD's or somebody.
Yeah, I'm like, man.
I go to Interstate, man. Interstate barbecue in Memphis is off the chain, though.
Interstate, okay.
I don't eat barbecue no more because I'm pescatarian, but that's the spot to go to.
All right. Yeah, okay.
That's funny because Michael's also been doing, it's been a frequent topic on the show. Michael's been doing a plant-based diet for about over a year now.
Here and there, but it's like, I knew going on tour I was going to have to loosen up anyway. So I've been, getting it in for a little while now, but
I'm right there with you, big time.
It's a difficult thing to stay on, man. And my stepdaughter, she came back from a trip with her church from Mexico, and she started eating meat down there and came home, and it was like, oh great, now we got meat in the house. It's gonna be that much harder to go for the non when the real thing is gonna be coming to the house anyway. It's like so it's a fight, and it's mostly I've for myself, since we're here talking about it, it's really coming down to it's about portion control more than anything else, man.
Yeah,
and it's like if I eat meat for one meal, then I'll skip it the next, or I'll go somewhere in between. I actually my way back to eating meat was mainly fish and like seafood. It's like I still like red meat is not a regular staple, but it's like I've been mixing and matching, and I trying to hold myself accountable and not stray too far,
I understand. I definitely get it. I definitely get it.
All right. So now I was what else I was gonna ask Kingfish about, like, cause did you start singing before you started playing, or did
pretty much I started singing because, like I said, I was in the church before I started learning about blues. So, and no one, not to disparage anybody that I was around in the church at the time, but like no one in the church would teach me, how to play guitar. It was more like a drum thing. But that's why I was singing more, like not necessarily like singing in the choir, but like giving getting up on Easter and and singing a little verse or something like that, and when my uncles and my mom, when they were singing their quartet groups,
Sure.
on the quartet programs,
Mhm.
they would let me walk up there when I was like 3 or 4 years old, with my little toy guitar and be up there, and
Oh,
they'll let me sing something. Yeah, man. So yeah,
that's
man,
all right.
I got like memories of just being up there,
Mhm.
for sure.
So they were getting you used to the stage already. Like, this is where you belong.
Maybe they saw something. Maybe they saw a little something.
I'm sure they saw something. I mean, do you have any? Are there any singers that you? I don't want to say model your tone. I mean, you got strong tone as a singer also. Anybody particular that any singers that you look up to?
Oh wow, man! I love Luther Vandross. Uh,
Sure.
I love singers with like heavy, slow vibratos, like Erykah Badu.
Mhm.
Uh, like I said, I just mentioned Luther. I'm really big. I like the old school singers like Patty and Anita Baker, and
All right.
even man, yeah, like even Eric Gale singing that. Like that's who I was trying to like model my singing after, because Eric got this like smooth like R&B ish like type of voice, but he
Y'all got a
playing like
similar
blues and
tone.
rocking.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
guess I could see him
yeah,
being a real.
yes, yeah,
real
so like I've always been into like crooning type of thing. Oh man, even Nate Dogg is one of my favorite vocalists, because
oh
a
yeah.
lot of people, like a lot of people don't like, they just think, okay, he's the hook guy. But like if you go and listen to like his solo stuff,
Yeah.
like
Hmm.
Nate, he had range, he could write, he was singing
Hmm.
in like certain like tones and certain like vocal structures for certain songs. And not only that, he's a hometown hero, man. Nate Dogg was originally from Clarkston, Mississippi, before he moved to Long Beach.
Oh,
So
right on,
that,
man.
yeah. So like that got me like really, big into his music, and that's how he became one of my favorite vocalists. And I
You
know
know.
somebody just said Carla Thomas. Carla Thomas
Mhm.
is dope, dope for real, most definitely.
Yeah. I was just gonna say, because it's funny how uh hip hop keeps coming up in this conversation. Um, I was gonna say that it's odd to me. Well, not odd, but it's just Nate Dogg and the DOC in that whole camp with Snoop and
Hmm.
Dre. It's like those two. Without those two dudes, it would have nearly been as nearly as successful. Like that whole run. Like really, those two cats. The DOC. He wrote some of the most powerful lyrics of
Oh yeah.
anybody in that camp. And Nate Dogg just made it all palpable for the radio.
Oh,
You know,
most definitely singing.
like
Yeah, singing those lewd lyrics, but it
uh huh,
sound good. It sounds
yeah.
great, man. Yeah, most definitely.
Every other time we go.
I just want to go off on a brief tangent real quick, because Michael said hip hop keeps coming up in this conversation. And I think one of the things that makes Kingfish so, like, I don't want to use the word successful, but like audiences love him, not just blues audiences. And I think an important part of that is that even though he's considered to be a blues artist, and I think everybody in this conversation knows he can do more than just blues, and so and his, as his current and future projects will show. But I think that there's this assumption that if you're a blues musician, that you just listen to the blues and you don't listen to newer or current music. Or even somebody like Michael Stature, who's one of the founding father musicians of 90s era funk and pop. The idea, we kind of get in our head that people don't listen to newer music than what it is that they're identified with.
Oh, sure. I
And
was
I
thinking
think
about this the other day. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but how you were saying every time I give you a track to play on, like you don't really know what to expect because my production style is kind of invisible. Like
it's not invisible. You have a distinctive Michael Bland sound, but it's not era or genre specific.
oh, is
Like
that what you meant? Okay.
I can hear, like, if you send me something, it always sounds like Michael, but like I'd be shocked sometimes that you'll send me something that's like a top 40 or like hip hop R&B kind of vibe from today, and it sounds current. It sounds like one of these, really good 25-year-old producers made it. It doesn't sound like this 50-year-old band made it,
It's as
and
simple as that.
it's just it always makes me think of the Quincy Jones quote that you're only as old as your ability to accept and process new things. Right. And so I think the thing that was taken away from this conversation was that one of the reasons why Kingfish appeals to audiences that don't just like old music, even though he's playing old music, and why Michael is able to produce artists that are young and current, is because you guys love music that is current. You love music in genres that came after the genre that you're known for. You know, it'd be easy to think we were just going to talk about blues and rock and funk in with this group of musicians, but we got a lot of hip hop fans. We talked about Nick Jonas. We talked about her. You know, I see the value in that. I see that, like, even if Kingfish was only going to play blues, the fact that he listens and loves, you know, current music, hip hop music that came after the blues, makes his blues better.
I agree, and it's funny you should bring that up because who was it? I think it was when Sonny and I we were rehearsing with Jesse. He's like, man, here I'll tell you what I love. I love turning on the TV and seeing y'all behind Nick Jonas. He's like, you know, people think of, you know, particularly they think of black musicians as being like they do this one thing or that one thing. And Jesse was like, man, I was so proud of y'all, man, because part of my mission has been to be colorless in my pursuit of music. You know, and he's like, yeah, y'all should be able to show up with anybody. You know, we should be able to, you know, you should be able to see us, you know, back in Bette Midler. If that's the case, you know, we should be able to be anywhere.
But I came from gospel, and the thing about gospel is every 5 to 10 years, it doesn't matter who the legends are, they kick them out and find the newest, youngest musicians that are the new, like, you know, the new dream team, you know, because they want whoever's got the newest, you know, like that video you shared the other day, Michael, where they're talking about all the showing off the newest tricks and stuff like that. Like, and you know, and so then the older musicians get stereotyped in terms of like, man, we don't like what these young folks are doing. But when you listen to the people that are truly masters at their craft, they don't have either of those mindsets. They have the mindset of, I love the music that I play. I love the music that's considered newer. I love the music that's considered older. There's none of that. It's like, even like the George Clinton quote where George, somebody asked George, how do you stay relevant? And George said, anytime somebody starts talking about, man, I hate this new music, I go and find that music.
Yeah, that's one way. You know, it's it really is a matter of your mentality. There's always great music being made. You might have to sift for it a little bit more these days because the output of music in general on the planet is higher than it's ever been. So, you know, but I am one of those people who believes that the cream will rise to the top, you know. And so, yeah, no, I guess I'm just saying I agree with what you're saying.
Yeah. I want to make sure we hit two things, you know, and we can talk for as long as you guys want to talk. I just want to make sure we hit these two things in the night. What is it, Michael?
I got one thing I need to ask right now, though, while it's on my mind. Kingfish, you came out of the church just like I did, and just like Dan happens to be. Have you suffered any backlash from the elders?
Oh, anybody?
Huh?
That's a great question.
Oh, you already know.
Yeah. Okay. Because, yeah, I remember, like, after, maybe it was after, like, Get Off came out. And I'm all in the video on MTV day and night. And I went to watch meeting with my father. And my dad played Hammond and piano in the church. And I'm sitting there, you know, kind of close to the Saints, but not too close. And one of them turns around, a young man. Ain't I seen you on television playing with that Prince? I said, yes, ma'am. And she kind of, you know, eyeballed me and she kind of went, you know, turned back around. And I was like, oh, okay, I see. You know, it's that
you
thing.
Did see. You were watching. You saw him there.
I got respect for my elders, though. It's like, well, okay, my question would have been, what are you doing watching MTV at you know, Like, if we're gonna be saints, then you shouldn't even seen me before. If where I've been is so bad, you know. But okay, well, I can tell by Kingfish's posture, we don't want to lead you into a situation where they run you out of
No,
town.
no. I'll be real with you, man. Like, okay,
Okay, well,
like I told you, my mom's side of the family, she came from that, and even she was an ordained minister. So when she started taking me into like the Jew joints at age 10, 11, there was some people that was saying, oh, our princess know better. My mom's name was Princess. Our princess know better having that boy, in the Jew joints. But she would always get on the mic and say this. He's in the Jew joints, but I know where he is. He's not on the corner sagging his pants, being a juvenile, delinquent or nothing like that. She said, I know.
yeah,
Plus, at the end of the day, I was doing something positive. And not only that, but I can tell, like, and even when they may see this, it is what it is. Like, her side of the family, some of them, I would hear in private how they would say the same thing because all of them preachers and like some of my uncles are in quartet, so they really didn't understand it at first. But when the notoriety kind of came in, that's when everybody kind of like settled. And then plus I'm very out there about my faith. I believe I believe in God, and I believe that's the truth and the way of the light and everything. And not only that, blues and gospel are very relative. One is just sacred and the other one is is secular. So the same way a guy can holler oh baby, we can holler oh Jesus. So it is what
yeah.
it is. So like so coming from the South, that's a big thing. That's a big thing.
Okay, and the fact that that you're any good at it at all is the reason why they got a problem. Like if it wasn't going nowhere, if it wasn't taking you places, nobody have nothing to
Right.
say. It's like Sam Cooke, stayed in hiding for a long time until till the success came, and then wait a minute, wait a minute, young man, you ain't supposed to be. People trying to tell you where you're supposed to be at, and all that about serving the Lord with dirty hands and all that, But I know I know in my soul that I'm in places where some light needs to be shown.
Absolutely.
Bunkers is one of those places.
Absolutely.
That's a place where they need to put their eyeballs on a Christian person from time to time, So it's that I've had to sort of look at it that way. Like, no, Jesus, where I'm at, I'm bringing Jesus with me.
Right. Even the Bible says that. And I didn't mean to cut you off, but like even the Bible says that. It says go into the highways and byways, or as some people put it, go to the highways and hedges. So yeah, that's needed for sure.
Yeah, they need to be meeting some of us real ones out here who are really sold out for Christ. I'm like, as far as I'm concerned, Jesus didn't just hang around the converted. Jesus hung out with whoever. And there's good people from all walks of life. And some of them, their faith is stronger than some of the people who I know who call themselves to be Christians. It is what it is. But so yeah, I guess I just ran through my mind, man, because I definitely I wasn't shocked. I wasn't shocked, but I guess I was a little surprised at this, at some of the reaction, but it's and it caused me, in my case, it caused me to really consider my position, and I thought to myself one day, there's a place called Honeywell in Minnesota, and they, if I'm not mistaken, they build detonators for bombs. Now, I had some say in where I was placed, but basically, God put the steps in front of me. I know that wherever I was, it was for good reason, And if I had a job where I built bombs, like, okay, I understand that, it's an instrument of destruction. Some people may categorize it as that, but I'm not launching on nobody. I'm just doing the job that is present and in front of me, until God says pick up and move and go elsewhere. And but it had been for me a somewhat difficult territory to negotiate, as with a few other people that I was in the Prince camp with. Like a lot of us, were people who grew up in the church and had strong work ethic, and were strong in the spirit. And I know for a fact that had my sister not prayed and put a hedge around me, the whole time I was there, anything could have happened to me. But it's my sister Carla. She prayed constantly, and she's filled with the Holy Ghost and got my back to this day.
Yes, sir.
So it's just funny because I wondered if the Saints were still doing that sort of thing when you were coming up.
Oh, yes, they are.
They were doing it to me. They're trying to do it to me anyway. But
it's funny because Michael knows my sister, and some of the earliest gigs that I did were with my sister, and she has a very interesting approach to both spirituality and music, because she would, she would do a gospel song or a worship song at the club if she felt led to do it. She would do an R&B song on Sunday morning if she felt led to do it. And so I can remember sometimes, she would literally, like, again, we'd do a whole set of jazz and neo soul. And at the end, if she felt God and she felt led to pray for somebody, she'd pray for somebody at the club, and again, then she'd go into church Sunday morning. And if she felt like singing Jill Scott, and she felt like that was what she wanted to give to God that Sunday morning, she was, so, we got a lot of slack from other people doing that. But what I saw from that growing up is I'd see people that, were positively impacted no matter where we were. And whether you want to put a spiritual stamp on it and talk about, salvation or God moving, or you just want to talk about it from a perspective of just being a positive influence. And then even to this day, I get people to come up to me everywhere I play. When can I see you next? When's next? Well, I'll be at the Greater Mount Sinai Church of God in Christ.
You want to see me right
tomorrow morning? You want to see me play? Here's a place you can see me play for free every Sunday. I've brought lots of people to church. I've brought lots of musicians to church, and so I've never. But church people don't see it that way, because church people, want to have you, and they're scared that if they let you go out and do other things, that they won't have you anymore.
I understand that, but by the same token, that's where many of us discover that we're gifted. I just had a flashback while you were talking about the first time I got actual, I was playing First Trinity Church of God in Christ over in St. Paul, and we went to some other church. It was like an afternoon musical, and I got up off the drums, and I heard some woman say, "That's all right, drummer," and amen. I hadn't thought about the fact that anybody was really paying attention to what I was doing up to that point, where it was like, whoa, okay. And that made me really reflect, like, wow, maybe this is something I'm doing. Maybe this, I get more serious about this, because somebody just said amen. All right, drummer, amen. And it just made me reevaluate the purpose of it. Like, we really, those of us who are anointed, it's our job to go out into the world and spread that, So the church bona fide it, and I just ran with it. Wherever it took me is where I was going to go,
Think about all the people you've impacted with both your playing as well as your example of professionalism, your example of character, your example as a man, etc., because of the places that your gift has taken you. They may not necessarily be Christian environments or religious environments, but you have been I know, I've seen examples of you being a positive impact on musicians and artists and people in the music community that look up to you. And that's something, that's a God-given thing, and that's a God-given purpose.
And I try to respect that, and I try not to squander it, and most of all, I try to treat everybody the same way. You might catch me on a day, But generally, my MO is to treat people like folks. I'm no respecter of persons. I don't expect any extra treatment for myself. You know, we just folks, you know.
And it's the same thing with Fish. Like, I mean, even as a young working musician, Fish is a man of character and integrity. And if you see him perform or you have a conversation with him, you'll know that. And that's something that, you know, that he's supposed to be out in the world.
Right. Yeah, where somebody can see him, where somebody can be inspired by him. Absolutely. So
right, because you never know, like even like as simple as, you know, a simple hey or just holding the door for somebody that could like really like change their day. You never know what they're going through. So yeah, all of it goes a long way for sure, big time.
Yeah, we're always in Congress with the spirit. It's always at work. It's just a matter of what we choose to do with it.
Not to mention, just in terms of music, it doesn't necessarily have to be religious music to keep to have somebody's having a bad day. And music brings them out of them. Music brings them back from the brink of depression. Music brings them back from, you know, helps them get through whatever illness, you know, helps them get through whatever struggles, you know.
Yes.
It doesn't necessarily have to be religious music to be something. You can save somebody's life with music. You know?
Music is power. Music is transformative. Music can reach anybody. It's I mean, I guess I don't know if it's true or not, but I've always felt that it's of the arts that are available, it's the only one that kind of sneaks up on you and is in your system before you even really realize it. You're not conscious of it. Your music just gets into your system and it's already doing its thing and you're already along for the ride before you even realize it. You know?
Terry Lewis said a thing about how everything in the world besides music uses music, whether it's advertising, whether it's entertainment, whether it's you know, corporate culture or family or everything in the world uses music. So think of how important you are as a musician.
Right.
So that actually is a good segue to one of the things that I wanted to ask Fish about, which is one of the coolest things that I've been able to brag about is that I have a friend that's been in a Marvel TV show. Because Kingfish was featured in the Marvel series Luke Cage, and I want to hear about that experience.
Man, okay, so here's the story on that. My mom and I and a band, we were driving to do a show in Jacksonville, Florida, and I remember she was saying she was just going on about this show, just raving about it. Luke Cage. She said, "I think you'll like it because it has all these musical performances on there of artists that you like, you know, Faith Evans, the Delflones, Raphael Sadiq, etc." And all I made was a little joke. And I want people to listen to this because it scared me because it shows how, you know, death and life lies in the power of your own tongue. Whatever you say, you know, you'll get it. So I made a joke. I said, "You think they'll, you know, just, you know, you think they'll get us for that second season?" And we laughed about it. 2 nights later, I got this message saying, "Hey, I'm so-and-so producer for Marvel's Luke Cage. The producer wrote you in the strip, so, you know, blah, blah, blah." So we took care of everything, and we went to Raphael Sadiq's home and studio in LA. That was my first time going to LA. And I got a chance to record 2 covers of I Put a Spell on You and Thrill Is Gone with Ali Shaheed Muhammad from the Tribe Called Quest. And Adrian Young, who did a lot of work with Ghostface Killer and others, and both of them, they were the 2 musical score guys for that show.
Oh, that's right.
So,
that's right.
Right. So yeah, that's pretty much how I got it. And after we did the music, we did the recording, and yeah, man, yeah, that's how we got that gig, man. It was big time for sure.
So not to get away from that, because I have some follow-up questions about that, but that's a really good segue to this question that I wanted to put on the screen before, and we got away from it because you mentioned Raphael Sadiq. This is actually a question for Michael.
I don't know nothing about it. Gregory Bell has been playing trivia with me for the last 6 years on Facebook, mostly about Andy Griffith. He'll quiz me on like what was so-and-so's name on Andy Griffith, you know.
Well, you know all those.
I'm pretty good. He hasn't really I think he may have stumped me a couple of times, but I watch Andy Griffin all the time, so it's hard to stump me on that. But I did not know that Raphael and his brother or any of them were being considered. But it makes sense to me because I mean Levi had played with the Tonys back in the day, so I could see that there could have been. I mean, he got Rosie from San Francisco. You know, she came from, or actually, Pittsburgh, California, I think is where she was from. I was like, "Where is that?"
Levi about for sure.
Yeah, but so I could see that being like the next move for that camp. I think he just happened to walk into Bunkers that night and see me play, you know, and then at the same time, the Steels were still gigging around town, and he saw Tommy and Sonny and was like, "I'm gonna put these three dudes together." I'm gonna start a new band.
Tommy was originally with the Steels?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, man, with Fred putting his elbow in Tommy's chest, like revoice it like this.
So Tommy is the other white dude with a gospel background then.
That's right. That's what I was saying. When we're gonna have the musical appropriation episode, it's gonna be you, it's gonna be Ryan, it's gonna be Barbarella. It might have to put Chris Lundholm in there also, just on GP. But we're gonna have to sound off about this appropriation of musical culture, and I want a little of the other side of it. Being the only white dude in a group full of black dudes has got to have its perils and it's it's an
interesting life experience.
Yeah, it's different.
At great length. I didn't know that Tommy had a gospel background. That's blowing my mind.
Barbarella, right, man.
That explains so much.
He sucked up all them Fred Steele, them wide voices. Fred would walk over and put his elbow in his chest and look like this, man, and just be playing them fat voicings on the organ. And Barbarella's like, yeah, he hit me in the chest with his elbow, but I learned a lot. I mean, he'll tell you himself that
Billy's a hell of a player too. Billy Steele.
Billy too, yeah. They all coming from the same. They come from the same
Steele's
thing.
Fish? Minneapolis.
No. Tell me, learn me.
There's a video that Michael sent me. I'll have to inbox it to you of I think it was a private concert at Paisley Park in the 90s with NPG, Mavis Staples, and the Steels all on stage at the same time.
Oh no, that concert is actually from Bagley's Warehouse in 1993. We left that gig and went back to the hotel to get our luggage and everything, and right away to Heathrow. Man, we played till like 5 a.m. We had a flight back to the United States for about like 8. So man, we played all night and then had to get on a plane and come home. But the Steels are from Gary, Indiana. I guess maybe Javita might be the one who is the calling card because she's Fish. You're probably not old enough to remember a song that AT&T used, a song called "Calling You." The song I am calling you. I know you hear me. You ever heard that song?
No, sir.
All right, and I just did a terrible job of singing it. You need to hear Javita sing it, but I didn't have
Michael can sing though. Michael can sing.
Oh yeah,
my register.
Well, Fish.
Anyway, a famous gospel group of singers. Prince used them on a lot of recordings. They're in the Graffiti Bridge movie, and they're singing backups on a lot of stuff, man. None of it's coming to me right away, but they did a lot of background work for Prince, and they also sang on I want to say maybe "Conversation Piece" was the record with Stevie Wonder. I think they did some work with them also. Yeah, see, your father-in-law loves that song. I was
looking for the comment to put it up there.
But anyway, yeah. So Barbarella comes from all that. Wait, what were we actually supposed to be talking about?
I don't know, but let me ask you this, Fish. Since Michael's in a storytelling mood tonight, you have anything you want to pick his brain about?
I was just thinking, one of my favorite songs is "Count the Days." How did that song come about? Because I see the performance of all of y'all doing it, on the TV show thing on YouTube.
Okay, I'm not really sure exactly where. That was a very interesting period for the group, because that song is on a record by the NPG, and Prince, obviously masterminded the whole thing, and he in a way he kind of, some of the songs on that record are kind of angry letters to Warner Brothers, and other songs kind of are, to me, rooted in Sonny and Prince's sort of shared experiences growing up. Like Cherry Cherry on that record is like a story, a real story, like about this girl who her boyfriend killed him. This is like somebody they knew in the hood. So I think that Prince was just like kind of probably reflecting on, his childhood, and like, I mean, it touches on, like, vigilantism, and and how do you cope with the stress of being downtrodden, and I think a lot of that was just in his consciousness at the time. There is a version that I think we played on, like maybe a studio version, that never made it to see the light of day. That was like a full band, but the version on the record is just like guitar and Sonny, and like there's some keyboards, and Prince is singing along with him. Yeah, I don't know. It's your guess is as good as mine. I just heard it one day and it was like, wow, when did y'all do this, Sonny? Yeah, Sonny. Oh man, we cut that last night, man. Last week.
You're not on that song on the record, Michael?
Not on the record. No. Some of Exodus I'm playing on, and some of it was programming, probably either Kirk or Prince, or
Well, you're credited as being on that song, so the internet thinks you're playing on it.
Well, yeah, the internet also thinks I have $60 million, but
hold on, I gotta see what it says about Kingfish.
So you gonna see this is how we're gonna end the episode? Because I'm at 6% on my battery, so we better wrap it up.
Oh, you better plug it in, Michael.
No, I'm not gonna plug it in. I'm just gonna.
The internet thinks
he's gonna ride it out.
The internet thinks Kingfish is worth $20 million.
Okay.
So let me borrow a few dollars, Kingfish.
Welcome to the Millionaires Club, Kingfish. You've made it.
Progressive thinking. Hey, progressive thinking. We gonna futuristic thinking like that.
We're gonna turn that into a prophecy, amen. That's a prophecy.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Over my amen life, amen.
Yes, sir.
Well, since on that note, and in case Michael's computer dies, and we can keep talking until it does, but I want to make sure, since Michael's going out on tour, Kingfish is going out on tour, I want to make sure that we pray for them because there's a lot going on right now with these COVID numbers, and we don't know what things are going to happen as far as safety, and as far as hopefully all the tour dates still happen, and just knock on wood, and I want to see my friends protected. So I just want to pray a prayer real quickly. Also want to touch on, I saw Mark Wilson in the comments earlier. He had a heart procedure earlier today. He's a friend of the show, and a great dude. So I want to make sure I include him as well real quick. And then after that, whatever else Kingfish wants to talk about until Michael's computer dies. So God, we just ask you right now to touch everybody involved in every tour right now, but especially cover Michael, cover everyone that's out with him, cover Kingfish, cover everybody that's out with him. God, just protect them on tour. God, keep the business together. God, keep the safety together. God, keep everyone healthy. God, keep everyone safe. God, we just ask you will be with them in every show that they play, be with them with every interaction that they have with people. We ask that, God, that you will just, your will be done with COVID-19 and coronavirus. God, we ask that you will just transform the nation as you see fit, God. And also, God, touch Mark Wilson and his health, God. Just be with these brothers, God. Be with their sisters, God. We just ask right now for special protection, God, with both of their tours and everything that they're involved with, God, so they can be a blessing to you, so they can be a light for you, God, and then they can come back home safely to their families, God. This we ask in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. All right.
So anything else you want to pick Michael's brain about before his computer dies, Fish?
I'm I'm gonna call him. I'm gonna call. 'Cause I know he got that little thing with his computer about to about to die. So I don't wanna. Yeah, I wanna prolong the time.
Well, all right,
Okay.
man. I mean,
Well, what is it?
Mhm.
Did we cover everything you want to cover, Fish? We talked about your album. You got any tour dates you want to plug or anything like that?
Yeah, man. Like I said, just go on my website, callmekingfish.com, callmekingfish.com. It has all my like tour dates and everything on there. We're hitting up the East Coast soon, so yeah, man, just be on the lookout for everything. All my social media and everything is on there, so for sure.
So if people want to reach out to you, they want to follow you, they want to be your fan, they want to be your friend, what social medias are you on?
Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, pretty much the three, and I got Snapchat too, but that's more personal. So yeah.
Okay.
All
It's
right.
called not call him Kingfish on Snapchat. It's call him something else.
Yeah.
Well, I'm looking forward to man. We all got to get together. I've talked. I'm glad to see that things are coming back together at Bunkers, Michael, because I've long talked about us doing some sort of MUSiPOLiTiX get together at Bunkers once the music is safe, and inviting our West Coast friends to fly in, and inviting all the friends of the show to come and hang out. But there's nothing I want more than Kingfish to come hang out.
Yeah.
So we gotta get in a room at some point, and but I'm glad that we were able to get together on the show.
Definitely. Me too. It's been a long time.
Well, it's funny because Kingfish was going to be one of our first guests when the show was originally going to be more music based, and then all the stuff happened in Minneapolis and George Floyd, and we decided to go a different direction. But we've always wanted to talk to Kingfish on here.
That's right. And it's not over. We're gonna get back with Kingfish.
Oh man, we got so much more to talk about.
All right, we're gonna come back for sure.
We're gonna come back, man. You can yeah, definitely.
So get a 662 in stores now, wherever you get your record.
That's right, yeah.
While you're at it, get Hurry Up and Wait by Soul Asylum.
Yeah, get that too.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Have you heard Michael play with Soul Asylum at all?
Yeah, most definitely. You had sent me some links and everything when we first started talking.
And they did a couple of quarantine concerts. I liked the one in the studio. They did one at First Avenue too, but they did one in the studio that was a little more raw that I really liked. I'll have to say
that was real raw.
I enjoyed it.
One word for it.
Well, but sometimes raw is good. Sometimes
I agree. It had a thing, but that was an intense day.
I'm sure. I could feel it. That's why I liked it. I can tell.
I got you. I feel that.
Yeah, and if you guys are going to cross paths on tour at all, then Fish, you need to go see Michael with Soul Asylum, and
definitely
Michael needs to go see Fish. We need to look at these websites and see if anything's.
Yes, let's be on the lookout. Definitely.
For sure.
Well, let's let Michael retain his computer battery. But thanks so much, everybody, for watching. Anything anybody else wants to say?
I don't think so. Hey, Audrey. Hey, Nia. Hey, Todd. I seen all y'all. Brandy. JT, I seen you, brother. Brother, man. Brother.
Thanks. Oh, okay. So I remember the other. So, Michael's going on tour for a few months. I don't think we're going to have anything while Michael is gone. I toyed with doing something with Maya, but nothing in the works yet. If we can get Michael virtually, maybe JT can plug him in. He can say hi from the road. But otherwise, MUSiPOLiTiX will be off for the next 2 months. But we got some big stuff coming up when Michael comes back. Don't want to spoil the surprises just yet, but we got some really, really big stuff coming in the fall. So definitely look for MUSiPOLiTiX when Michael gets off the road. Keep an eye just in case we do something during these tour months. But definitely look for us in the fall. Thanks again for hanging with us. And I'm going to end the broadcast. So good night.
And thank you, Audrey.
Yes, sir.
All right.